Today we're swapping roles as we give our model a camera.
You're the photographer, you tell me where to
We
go.
move the spotlight onto our photographer.
I feel comfortable. Confidence maybe might come later.
Keep one of your hands.
Like this?
Please don't do that.
Will they learn from each other or will all hell break loose?
Why is it so heavy?
Don't open
Yeah,
my
don't.
legs. Yeah.
What do you want me to show up, man? Today, y'all are teaching me that photography isn't for me.
So we'll break this challenge down into 3 parts. The first is portraits. Now portraits are important because it's hard to get right. There's things like lighting and composition that are important, but it's also important to understand your subject and make sure you capture them in a single photo.
I'll probably get you to stand there. I'm just trying to get a bit of the light casted on you. Just go back a little bit. Come forward and then to your right. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I absolutely love what Nalisha is doing here. Now, if you are working with natural light and you can't add any supplemental light, you're gonna need to do this. You need to find pockets of space that has soft, diffused light and then really do your portraits around those areas.
Just trying to get a little bit of the sunlight on her body and a little bit on her face so that we can separate the background from the foreground, just so the model stands out. So I'm probably gonna bump up the shutter speed a little bit just to cast down the light. Probably gonna go high on the aperture as well. Drop the ISO to 100. Here you go. All right. Yeah, ready? First shot.
So Nalisha's got a really good starting photograph, but what's important here is that if you look in the background, you can also see how many micro adjustments Etmi is doing. So you can see her changing up her position, you can see her moving her hands into different places, and you can also see her arranging her hair and the small details.
I think over time it just comes to you, but at first, like, you have to just practice a little bit.
I feel like when I shoot with like first timers or like amateur models, like starting out, gotta direct them always.
Yeah.
As a photographer, it's a bit harder, where you have to try and tell them what the poses are, whereas models know exactly. You're doing great.
Oh,
I think it's easier. Yeah, it's easier. It's easier, so I can concentrate on that, and then you can do what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
It's gonna be so hard to get you to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not a model, so you will have to direct me. I think we got some good shots in here.
Cool.
Even though Nalisha has a good photograph or a good portrait, he's still moving to another location to get a second shot. So that's diversity of shot.
For these ones, because it's a bit of a darker setting, I brought down my shutter speed. Aperture is at 2.8, ISO is still at 100. Using the tree as a frame. Very nice.
So one additional step is focusing. If you half press the shutter, it'll bring your image into focus.
Press and hold.
So if you've never used one of these professional cameras before, you'll not know that the shutter button is 2-staged, which means that if you half press the button, it'll focus your image and you have to fully press the button to actually take that image.
So right now you're in program auto, which means the camera is going to decide what's the best settings.
Okay, so there's 4 modes on a camera. So first is auto mode, and your camera decides all of its settings based on the assumptions it makes on the scene.
Why is it so heavy?
Yeah, it's so heavy. Best way to hold is exactly how you're holding it. So the camera is going to decide, when you point at a subject, it's going to decide what the best setting is in terms of lighting, in terms of shutter speed, aperture. So you don't have to think about all the hard stuff. All you have to do is point and shoot.
And there is aperture priority mode, in which you set aperture and the camera sets all your other settings. There is shutter priority mode, in which you set shutter and your camera sets all of the other settings. And finally, there's manual mode. This is the most complicated setting on your camera. It's what most professional photographers use.
If you want to get really creative, you have to go manual because you have to manipulate those settings.
This is reminding me of the TikTok. I am a photographer and I took this picture.
You're the photographer, you tell me where to go.
I actually don't know.
Okay, so here you can see Etmi is really struggling with her first image. That is pretty common even if you are a professional as you arrive on the set. What I like to do is not think about that first image too much. Just set your model, set your camera with the settings you know, and just take that first image. Consider it a point to start, and then you can really build on it.
Today, y'all are teaching me that photography isn't for me.
Or what? I can just stand flat on a flat lay so that you can just get the background.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
That might be easy for you.
I want to reduce the
Brightness?
Yes.
So in auto mode, if you want to reduce brightness, you need to use exposure compensation, which essentially tells your camera, look, you're overestimating or underestimating exposure, and you need to increase it by X amount of stops. When you're in auto mode, just increasing any of your dials will automatically increase exposure, and reducing those same dials will reduce exposure.
Can you like lean on the tree?
Lean on it.
Okay, so this is really key. You can see Ethmi really leveraging her strengths. She knows posing, she knows positioning, so she's focusing on those and focusing less on the camera.
Wait, how do I zoom in?
So you can't zoom because it's a prime lens. These are called prime 50mm lenses. So you have to actually come forward and walk with it.
So professional lenses break down into two classes. You have zoom lenses, which you're used to seeing on any camera. It allows you to zoom in and out by turning the zoom ring. And then there are prime lenses. So these lenses have a fixed focal length, which means you have to physically move in and out of your scene in order to change the composition of your framing. By sacrificing the flexibility of being able to zoom in and out, you get a focal length that is really optimized for the use case.
I'm a
So you
lazy
can, like,
person, bro.
Turn it, yeah. I feel like this is why a phone is easier.
Alright, so this is an interesting point. See, the thing about modern phones is that they utilize a lot of post-processing and AI to accomplish what a skilled photographer could do in a matter of seconds. Just point, click, and you're done, right? Well, let's talk about it. Since AI became a viral sensation all the way back in the dark ages of 2022, it's come a shockingly long way. Its problem-solving capabilities, automation, and speed are slowly becoming second to none. It's become a great tool that's enabled people to create content far more easily. But that's not to say it's not without its own problems. One major issue that's popped up as of late that's been a thorn in the side of photographers and models alike are AI influencers.
You're probably asking yourself, how is this robot talking to me?
These influencers are meant to be this blend of technology and storytelling, but they've since presented a shift in the industry, with a risk to job security of photographers and models. We personally feel that individuals inherently bring something unique, whether it's by our experience or simply just their personality. That uniqueness can and will make a production stand out.
Alright, before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe. If you like what you see, or if there's something you want to learn across photography or videography or technology, drop us a comment. We'll make sure we get to each and every one of them.
Your hands.
Pockets? Or like,
Oh yeah, you can keep it.
yeah, like that?
Yeah.
Does that work? Yeah, okay. I never know what to do with my hands.
You can also like, wait,
Drop my shoulders.
no. You can like,
I'll move my shoulders back.
yeah, a little bit.
Am I hunching?
A little bit.
Have this
Now that's a little
too much, yeah. It's a guy thing, right? Like, perk up your chest.
Okay, I got that one.
It's just like one of those like power poses. It's like
yes.
for business and then
If I'm shooting you from the front,
yeah.
never like pose.
Don't open.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can like angle yourself.
I like this way.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Keep one of your hands.
Like this?
Not. You don't have to like
Like
lean
that?
on it. Please don't do that.
Do it right, I know. Like bring it up.
Yeah. So if you're like doing poses with your head, don't try
Don't
to
tilt down.
Yeah.
Tilt up. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you move your leg a little bit to like
Out?
this side?
What's the most difficult photo shoot you've done?
I'd say the hardest one I had was when we were shooting for commercial. I had to act as a lover girl. Yeah. We had to go to a Yala and then we stayed the night there. Woke up early. Oh, tiring. So warm.
So in part 2 of this challenge, the only rules are that the photo needs to be taken in harsh light. Now harsh light is difficult. It is the most unforgiving lighting condition. You really need to know your technical skills in order to get it right.
So one trick I use usually trying to figure out where the lighting is the harshest, I use the palm of my hand. If you like go around with my hand, you can see up here it's a bit darker. If you go up here, you can see it's really bright. That means the light's coming this way. So it's going to be facing you. So always the best settings to shoot usually is like overcast though, I think.
What's that? It's overcast.
Overcast is when like clouds kind of cover the sun.
Ah, okay.
It's like, you know how in professional shoots they use a diffuser?
Yeah.
That really white like cloudy thing. When we can't carry a lot of equipment, we just really rely on weather. So if the weather is really good or somewhat okay and there's a lot of cloud cover, that it's going to naturally diffuse the sunlight, which means it's going to be a softer light.
Now Shira, what's the hardest photo shoot you've done?
I think some family portraits have been quite hard. The most recent one I did, which was hard, was babies. There's 25 babies on a beach. It was for a baby beachwear, swimwear company. So I had to put the babies, and babies don't stay in one place. So it was very hard because I had to move around the babies. They'll start crying, push someone, probably not look away. So some parents have to like lie down and go, ooh. And in Australia, it's like when it's summer, it's really hard. Babies get cranky with the hot weather as well. That's hard too.
This baby's
Another
cranky.
one. Yeah. Luckily, it's not a hot day.
It is quite warm though.
Hey, even in good weather, you're kind of cranky.
Really.
That's models though, right?
No, it's just me, yeah.
All right, and then you do you.
Yeah, this is really good from Ethme. You can see that she's kind of running out of options in terms of her current posing. So she's turning around to give a completely different look.
The signature.
Done.
Ethme, when you're standing for a photo, how do you usually pose?
It doesn't really matter, but as long as you look comfortable and confident, that's all that matters.
I feel comfortable. Confidence maybe might come later.
Making sure that light hits your subject at the right angle can be the difference between a great photo and a not so great photo. Rather than focusing on changing up your settings, you should really focus on getting the light direction right and then changing your camera settings.
I think it's too dark.
Too dark.
So one of the reasons Ethme's photos are coming out a little darker is because her background is really bright. So she needs to ensure that she doesn't clip her highlights, but by doing so, she puts her subject into shadow. Now this is a very common mistake when you're just starting out with photography, but the learning here is to avoid keeping really bright elements in your background because your camera will struggle to get right exposure between your subject and your background.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Now in this final section, we'll look at macro photography. This is a very specialized skill and it requires a specialized lens known as a macro lens.
So macro lens is usually good for detail shots. Like if you want to take a photo like your eye, you can really see like the detail in your eye, like the iris and the pupil. You can really get up close with this and you won't lose the detail and the focus. What I'm really focusing on is a little bit of light on your eyes. So come forward and then look away. Yeah, perfect. Then I'm trying to just focus on your eyes this time. So let's see how much detail we can get. It's been a while since I shot now. So I'm probably gonna keep the...
So you can see Nalish is really struggling with getting focus. When you're this close to your subject, every small movement really gets amplified. So it takes a lot of skill to get that photo right. You have to have a shutter speed that's fast enough and a hand that's steady enough to actually pull off that image, especially when you're hand holding your camera.
So this is called the lens hood, right? And you know how sometimes you do this when you're looking out? It's because you wanna stop the glare. So this is the same thing. It's like a little cap hood just to stop the glare so you can get a bit more light.
So you took it off?
Took it off because there's not a lot of harsh lighting, so you can just like put it away. This is one way to like still have it on you and put it away.
Right.
But the only downside is you can't access the buttons in there. Okay, let's get this shot. So put your eye through the viewfinder, you can see a bit better.
Whoa!
To really see the photo properly, you just watch it through the viewfinder. Then you can. It's like kind of like looking through a dark room.
What if I get you to lay down?
In the sun, right?
What do you want me to shoot, man?
Oh, you can do one of the like the ring.
Ah,
Yeah, and I
okay.
don't have to be down. For
So
this.
this is a good example of trying something, it not working out, and you quickly moving on to a concept that you feel might work better.
It felt like a forensics photo. You can get
you,
really
like,
close.
keep it like,
Like this, press and then...
try to get both, but I'll focus on one.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, I think
Try
that's
that.
cool. I can see the tiny little hairs on his hand.
Yeah, that's how...
So Ethme, as we wrap things up, what was the hardest part of today's shoot?
I think being in the photographer's position, I think everything about it was tough.
Do you think knowing certain things as a model might have helped?
It's easier to tell someone how to pose for the camera.
Okay, what's a piece of advice you can give another model?
So I think that when you're shooting with a photographer, I think it's best to like give a lot of variations when you're posing.
Dude, what do you think is the hardest part about being a model?
I think confidence is key, which is one of the most important things, I guess, about being a model. The fact that you can have a lot of variation in your poses as well is really good. I think one of the things I lacked being a model today is lack of confidence in front of a camera. Because how often does a photographer put himself in front of a camera, you know? Hardly. So I respect the model for being able to demonstrate that on camera and giving the photographer a bit of ease.
I think today I learned that it's not easy to just go and click.
So I have newfound respect for the model. I guess you understand
Yeah,
what
I do,
goes
I do.
into it.
And it's so heavy, bro.
I guess thank you so much. That is a wrap. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our little thought experiment. Thank you to Nalisha and Ethmi for coming out and trying this with us. Models bring emotion, expression, and presence to a photo shoot, and photographers focus on capturing those moments.